Hey, this is Tyrene Martinson, and this is the Truth About Storytelling, my vlog series, my video series. And I am going to be spending some time this year rereading old favorite books. And this week I'm talking a little bit about my fandom, movies I like to watch, and books I like to read. Yesterday I did a rundown of 4 movies that I've seen recently. Today I'm going to talk about something a little bit different. I'm going to talk about one of my old favorite books. So, The Hobbit by Tolkien was one of my early favorites. I had an elementary school teacher read this book out loud to my third grade elementary school class. Thank you, Mrs. Bolenesi. And I actually also watched the animated version on TV at about the same time. This was in the 70s, a really long time ago. And I was just enamored by this story of this hobbit who goes on this journey and is the only one brave enough to talk to Smaug. Out of everyone in the book, Bilbo is the only one brave enough to talk to Smaug. And yeah, he's invisible when he does it, but still, he starts out as a very frightened character who's not really sure he wants to go on this journey. And in many ways, he is braver than all the rest. Because not only does he stand up to the dragon, he stands up to his friends in a way that's even harder. So I love this book, and I've been reading it over and over again since I was in third grade. My first copy was given to me by an older cousin, and it was kind of beat up when I got it, and I think I read it about 12 times, and it just kind of fell apart. So I got another paperback, and then I found this. It's a really cool book back before all this stuff on the side. I know the name for it: Book Sprain, Book Art. Sorry for those of you who do awesome jobs, but I don't remember what it's called. I bought this before that was popular, and I found it on sale somewhere, and it's really cool. However, it's such a pretty edition that I have to admit that what I normally do is I normally reread one of my paperback editions. I actually have 4 editions of The Hobbit, 2 paperbacks, this, and an audiobook, because you can't have enough of The Hobbit. In fact, I sometimes think it'd be fun to get another book, but anyway, but that's just because I love the story so much. And one of the reasons I love the story is because it had all the elements of the fairy tales that I first heard as a kid, but yet it was sort of more grown up. I mean, yeah, I was only in third grade, but it felt like it was more, there was just more to it than the fairy tales I'd read, even though some of the fairy tales are pretty intense too. So I will be talking about those. This year I am doing a reread challenge for myself, which is why I will not be posting very many of my books on Goodreads, because Goodreads doesn't have really a good rereads button. I really want to find an app that has more of something like that, but for right now I'm keeping track of it in a notebook, and I'll be doing some videos about books I'm rereading. I will be reading new books too, or books that are new to me. I just finished Iron Knight by Julie Kagawa. I might be totally mispronouncing her name. I'm sorry if I am. But it's a good ending to a 4-book series, and I really like those books. They're fun to read. My mom actually gave me the Iron Queen for Christmas, and when I was reading, I realized I'd read it before. It's just that I checked it out from the library before, and I'd never owned my own copy of it. So it had been, I think, a decade, and I never finished the series. So I finally finished the series, and it was a very satisfying conclusion. And so if you have read The Iron Queen or any of those books, the Iron Face series, I recommend reading all of them, or reading them again if you haven't read them, if you've read them before. Anyway, so that's kind of a newer book series I just finished. But again, I'm going to jump into rereading this pretty soon, The Hobbit, and then I'll reread The Lord of the Rings, maybe directly afterwards or maybe a little bit later. I haven't decided yet. I'm still, even though it's mid-January, I'm kind of setting up my rereading challenge for myself. And I know maybe this sounds kind of bad, but I'm a little anti-rule in some ways. I do love God, and so that means I do believe that there are there are things that are good and true in this world, and we want to pay attention to those. But I don't do well with just what I consider to be kind of silly rules. Like if I make up a rule for myself that I'm going to reread 100 books this year, and midway through the year, I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. Well, that's okay with me if I break that rule, because to me, it's, yes, it's a promise to myself, but it's not really a hugely important promise to myself. Whereas a promise to myself that I'm going to write good fiction and I intend to finish 5 books this year, that's an important promise to myself. I'll keep that one. So it, I kind of think sometimes like New Year's resolutions and goals, we get caught up sometimes in the small ones or the ones that don't really matter very much. And I know personally, I want to pay attention to the promises I make to myself, the goals that I make for myself that really truly matter, and really think about what I am deciding to do, what I'm resolved to do versus what is just kind of a nice idea. So my rereading challenge for myself is kind of a nice idea. And yes, I want to do it, but I'll see how it goes. And I'm okay with the fact that I'm kind of making it up as I go along at this point. So anyway, I hope that you have a wonderful day. I'd love to hear about what books have inspired your writing and your life. Go ahead and drop those in the comments. That would be great to find out. Again, this has been an old favorite for a long time, and it has inspired much of my writing, but it has also inspired me to have more courage as a person just living life. So thanks for joining me. This is Tyreen, Truth About Storytelling. I'll see you around tomorrow.